I'm done trying to live up to others' expectations. Family, society, class, race, sex, or religions. It's time to break free from the isms that make us feel like we're in prison. I'm ready to be unleashed as fuck. I'm ready to be unleashed as fuck. Tired of the madness, done with the sadness. Gonna break free and be unleashed.
Hello, you're listening to Unleashed. You know, I'm on the wrong line. Hey. Welcome to the show. Today we're talking about anxiety, and anxiety is not just in your head. It turns out, and I did not know this until just a week ago, there are two main types. There's other types, but the two main types of anxiety that go through your system. You know, there's the kind that we're most familiar with, the cognitive kind, the kind that, you know, you can hear things in your head like a broken record and you can't stop them. This worry. Is part of your worry is part of your central nervous system. But there's a kind that hits your autonomic nervous system. It's all part of your autonomic nervous system. I hadn't even heard of this before. And if you're only focused on one type, maybe you're just focused on the one that's in your head. And so you're thinking, well, that's what I've got to stop. And if that's all you're focused on, you're missing the boat.
Yep.
You're up to.
Okay. That's different than what I was looking for you to finish, but
I know, I'm sorry.
That's all right. We're talking about why taking some deep breaths or counting to 10 doesn't always work. And sometimes you can't even tell that you need that in the first place because you're not thinking you're anxious. Even things like positive thinking can sort of fall flat because you feel like you're already thinking positive. So how would that help anything? And what your body has been trying to tell you all along. This is the episode for anyone who's ever felt like they've stayed calm through some stressful things, but aren't sure why they feel the need to smoke or bounce their knee incessantly, or even why they have high blood pressure.
Yeah, that's really good. So you're listening to Unleashed AF, podcast that rips off the mask, exposes the leashes that are holding you back, and challenges you to lead authentically and powerfully. I'm Deidre Beecham, visibility catalyst and creator of the Medusa effect. My past taught me how to hide, completely disappear. Unlearning that made one thing very, very clear. I exist to end the epidemic of female erasure, especially erasure for yourself. So now I help women take back what the world told them to hide and say what actually needs to be said.
Yes, and I'm Jenny Badig, certified hypnotherapist, coach, human factor engineer, and liberator of your subconscious superpowers. I help people understand and unleash what's already inside them so that they can stop sabotaging.
Easy for you to say.
Today, yeah, and start soaring. And together, we are leash breakers, dream makers, risk
takers. Don't you mess around with us. You know, and poor Jenny, I do have to jump in here because poor Jenny, she is putting on a very brave face. She has not been feeling well. She's not been feeling well at all. So, Jenny, thank you so much for joining us today. With
certainly feeling much better today. I would not have been able to get through this last week, that's for sure. But slowly recovering from a wicked stomach flu that I have not had in a long, long, long time. So yeah, just building up my energy slowly. So if you love what we're talking about, hit follow, subscribe, like, all those kinds of things. Drop your thoughts in the comments or at our website, unleashedafpodcast.com, where you can go to the WWJDD page, which is What Would Jenny and Deidre Do, to give us some feedback on ideas for new episodes coming up, topics to explore, or just feedback on what we've been talking about or questions about some of the things we've talked about. We're here to expose the leashes, explore what it really means to be free, and help you step into your fully authentic, unleashed life.
Awesome. So we got the idea for this episode because I recently have been in the hospital with my wife, and we learned about something called the autonomic nervous system, and that has everything to do with anxiety. And I thought anxiety was just, the stuff that goes on in your head. I'm anxious about something, I'm worried about something, and that raises my anxiety. Um, and I just thought, that's it. There's just that. There's just that. And I just have to get control of my brain, correct? And and now to find out, the doctor's talking about, no, there's an autonomic nervous system. And I thought, my God, I've never even heard of this. And that's the one where things get turned on like a light switch, just boom, and your body's just in panic mode or anxiety mode. And that was just absolutely fascinating to me. And so I thought, well, let's talk about this, because this affects both of us in
Mm-hmm.
our professions and working with people. We both work with people who have anxiety and have these things happen.
For sure.
And what's really, really interesting, one of the things that I wanted to know, because I started thinking about this, Jenny, I started thinking, well, how does the autonomic system get trained, right? So if I've got this autonomic system that is jumping me into anxiety, how does it get trained to do that? And so I went in with the question of, is it because, there are situations that a person gets into, and then that that thinking and discovering that something is scary, or you have a reaction to it, and the anxious thoughts start, and then that builds the autonomic system. That was what I thought.
Okay.
And I was very wrong. That is not how it works at all. And I was really surprised by this. And it turns out that the autonomic system is always on, 24 hours a day. It is always seeking, looking for, trying to figure out what's dangerous.
Yep.
It's always on, Jenny. It's always on. It's
Two of the major components of the autonomic nervous system, the main component of the autonomic nervous system is the amygdala part of our brain. And that's what's responsible for fight or flight. That's what I was thinking too. And yeah, the whole purpose of fight or flight is to determine, okay, well, that's dangerous. We either fight or flight to get away from it, to protect herself from it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And so, so your sympathetic nervous system, your vagus nerve, all of that it's like, boom. And so you're gone from, oh my gosh, I feel safe. I'm not safe. I'm safe. And because of that reaction, and that's not something you're thinking about. That is not something you're thinking about at all. And it just happens. And when I was talking to one of the doctors, they were saying, maybe you're a speaker and you're safe on stage. You've been on stage many, many times. But he said, I have speakers that have to take an anti-anxiety pill before they go on stage, because their autonomic system kicks in and they get into this fight or flight place. And unless they have this anti-anxiety pill, they can't get up on stage. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is wild. But it's the same thing that has happened to me. I know it's happened to my wife. I'm sure there's plenty of other people that it happens to, what they call white coat syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And for myself and my wife, we have in the past, and my wife still has this, but if all you have to do is walk into the room and say, hey, I'm going to take your blood pressure. And then, man, it's just boom, automatically part of the autonomic system. Boom. It's this fear. It's this fear of what is that judgment machine? What is the judgment machine going to tell me? And I don't even have to be thinking that. It would just happen. And this still happens to my wife. And does this happen to you, Jenny? I can't remember.
It does in certain ways. I know. And one thing I wanted to mention before responding to that specifically you talked about it's like a light switch that just kind of comes on. And the way I've even started to think of it is it's like a motion activated light
Yeah, that's
that
really good.
you walk into the room and it just happens. You didn't even have to consciously do anything. It just turns on. So it can be very difficult to figure out, well, what made that happen? What, where'd that come from?
Yeah, I felt fine. I was comfortable, and then you walk
Mhm.
through them, so you can take my blood pressure, and I'm okay. My blood pressure's been good. So why am I reacting this way? And it's just your
Yeah.
autonomic system.
Yeah. And the amygdala, one of the things I've certainly been aware of the autonomic nervous system and the amygdala for years now, but I never knew, like I never really read anything about anxiety developing from there versus what we typically think of as some more cognitive anxiety. So when you started mentioning that, I was like, holy crap, that makes so much sense to me now. Because most people would see me and see, oh, Jenny's calm about almost everything. Like it takes a lot to get her riled up about anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yet my blood pressure has been high. I've had to take medication for it. And it even feels like, they'll say things like, well, make sure, you eat right, you exercise, you meditate, stuff like that. I'm like, I don't feel like I need to, like, I'm not worked up where if I just take 5 minutes every day to meditate, I'll be fine. I'm pretty like low key all day. But definitely when that issue started, this was several years ago now, but when that issue first started, anytime I walked into the doctor's office and I knew they were going to take my BP, I was like, oh shit. And I was trying
Yeah.
to do like breathing exercise. I'm like, okay.
Oh, because they all tell you the same thing. Every single one of them. Just put yourself in your happy place. Because I'm sure because it's not
Well,
just the
me
three of
neither.
us. Right? Put yourself in your happy. Think of your favorite place. I'm like, yeah, well, that's great. That's helping this part. That's
Mhm.
helping this part up here. But I can't stop the fact that my heart is beating out of my chest,
Yeah.
and that is not adjusting anything.
Right.
And when I was doing a little more research into this, because why don't I have it anymore? I mean, really, it blows my mind. I can take my blood pressure in the doctor's office. It doesn't matter where it is. I'm fine now. But I've also, because it's not just blood pressure, obviously. I mean, I was getting triggered with other things. I was getting triggered with Trump. I was getting triggered with MAGA people. I was getting triggered by my, relatives. I mean, there were all sorts of things that would trigger me that
Mhm.
don't anymore. And I thought, well, why? How does that happen? Um, anyway, it's been a really, really interesting dive into figuring this out, and I'm hoping that we'll learn a little bit more. Maybe if I pose some questions to you and you with me, we can figure out some of these things, because I don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that part of it, I was talking with ChatGPT. I was saying, well, I don't have it anymore. And I would think that when I first started addressing, and I didn't realize that what I was addressing was anxiety. I had anxiety for all of my life, that I didn't even realize that was what I was doing, was getting rid of my anxiety. And my first thought was, well, I need to stop all of these ruminating thoughts. I need to stop all of the thoughts of, this is scary, or you're not doing things right, or why are you so stupid, even though I know that I'm not stupid. I mean, it's just these thoughts that I needed to have stop. And I thought, like I think most people think, well, that's what I need to work on. And so I talked to you, we got a hypnotherapy tape. It was awesome. And it started to change the way I thought. And then I started doing trigger tripping, which allowed me to really kind of analyze things. So well, how did I go from that to trigger tripping? And while I was talking with ChatGPT, and I said, well, this is how I started. I started doing this with the hypnotherapy, meditation, all the things you were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And that helped this part. But what it did was, because this part was calm, it allowed me to almost separate myself and be an observer of my body.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not that I'm out here or anything, but in
Right.
my body going, okay, well, I'm fine right now. I'm safe, but wow, my heart's palpitating. It's coming out of my chest. I feel like I need to run out of the room right now, but I'm obviously safe. I'm an adult. I have control of the situation. But and for me, this was with a relative that I was putting myself in a position to
Mm-hmm.
be triggered by them.
Yeah.
And the whole point was to try and figure out how do I what are these stories I keep telling myself so I can make them stop? And that's when I started utilizing somatic practices, which turns out that's exactly one of the things that I needed to do. And I was just stumbling onto these things, Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
I was just stumbling onto things that, there are other people around me that knew. But evidently, somatic practices actually start calming the autonomic system,
Mm-hmm.
which
And make you
I'm
more aware too.
mhm. And then by being an observer and going, okay, so why did that upset me so much? Why am I so anxious about that? And is what I'm thinking about this situation, is it true? Right? Is it true? And slowly I started being able to make those timelines of the trigger and figuring it out closer and closer, so that now it's not triggering anymore. I'm just,
Yep.
oh, look at this crazy thing that's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I can separate myself from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, two things that I remember learning about the amygdala a little over a decade ago now, probably, was that one, I mean, like we said earlier, its job is to look for anything that could be harmful or dangerous and then decide which path to take, fight or flight. But it was, I mean, obviously from way back in caveman days, kind of, that was pretty critical. I mean, fight or flight were like your two options. If there's a saber-toothed tiger or something coming at you, you need to pick one of those things.
And it needs to be
Probably flight.
fast.
Yeah.
And it needs to be
Right.
fast. Yeah.
And so in today's world, it's like the amygdala, there's not nearly as many things that are life-threatening. So the amygdala is like desperate to do its job. So just like if somebody in the military got training to be like a sniper or something, but there was nobody, they got no assignments. And it's like, what do I do? I have all this training. I know what I'm supposed to do. Like I have all this skill and experience and stuff like that, but there's no target for me to shoot. When they do get some kind of assignment, their mind may not discern, oh, that's not the target you're supposed to shoot. It's going, hey, there's a target, shoot it. Like the desire to do its job clouds the vision of what's actually the goal. So
Yeah.
that was one thing I remember learning about the amygdala, is that it can become like, it can kind of overrun things simply because its original purpose is like maybe once in a lifetime somebody's going to have an actual life or death kind of situation where they got to figure out fight or flight from, but it's expanded its purview to things like, oh, I don't want to be embarrassed in front of people. Oh, fight or flight. The hell? That's not life or death. So
Right.
it expanded its purpose and got very blurry vision in terms of what really qualifies as danger.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. And the other aspect of that is I remember learning that one of the ways to sort of circumvent that is to put some sort of pattern interrupt in the middle. So, like you were saying, you became better at observing yourself and then asking yourself some questions and then deciding how to move forward from there. That's probably what broke it, honestly, because if you can redirect, if you can almost have a decision point prior to it entering the you either fight or flight kind of decision area and say, okay, is this even really life threatening? If no, turn left and go to like regular
You know
thinking.
something else, and I think, because I love the whole idea of desensitizing. One of the things that I noticed in myself is that my nervous system was dysregulated. It was just very dysregulated because a lot of things would trigger me, and so I was really curious about, well, how do I desensitize that? How do I calm my nervous system? How do I let it know, outside of somatic practices, because I think those are fantastic. Outside of somatic practices, what else can I do to help calm myself? And so, and not every solution works for everybody. This is just something that worked for me. But one of the things I wanted to do was trigger it, but then let it know it was safe. So, for example, I would get into the shower and turn on the water really cold. Evidently cold baths are supposed to be really good for you. Cold shit's supposed to be really good for you.
Yep.
Well, the moment I turned it on, panic. Just panic mode as soon as I turned the cold water on. And so instead of forcing myself to stand there in this water, I would just, turn it back up to hot, turn it back up. So I'm okay. And I tell myself, you know what? You're okay. You are safe, and I turn the cold water back on, and maybe I have to step back. I'm like, okay, shh, you're safe. And we don't have to do that anymore today. Safe. And doing little things like that. And then I was able to start extending that and then start changing where I was while I was in the water. So for example, I think, well, gosh, if I'm in Hawaii, right, and I want to get under some waterfalls, some really cold waterfalls, the last thing I want to do is, I can't, it's too, no, I want to be able to get in. And so I started changing that into, okay, now I'm under a waterfall in Hawaii, maybe for only 10 seconds. I'm in a waterfall. And it made me start looking forward to it and seeing something good at it as a result. And I'm thinking we might try this with the blood pressure cuff. I have to see if Myra will be open to that, like putting it on and starting it. And if she starts feeling, the heart, stop it. Just stop. You're okay. You have that power.
Yep.
Right? You have that power. Just stop it. It's okay. Calm the nervous system back down.
Yep.
Maybe have a piece of fruit. Give yourself a little reward.
Yeah.
It's okay.
We'll sip of wine.
And then, right. And then do it again. Oh, it's triggering. That's okay. Turn it off. You have total control. You have total control.
Yeah.
And our bodies have these amazing memories, and I looked it up. It's called implicit memory. And they're the body-based memories that are so ingrained. And I love how you were talking about, well, the amygdala wants to work. It wants to do its job. And so it's hypersensitive. And if you have something like a blood pressure cuff that has been judgmental in the past, and it's, and because it's been judgmental, um, there's this autonomic, this implicit memory kicks in, even though you don't have high blood pressure now. It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
But you have to make the body feel safe. And so I think it's more than just what were you talking about before? It's more than just the somatics and the trigger tripping. I think it's also calming your nervous system and
Well,
finding ways to do that.
retraining it that this is not something that should trigger fight or flight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, probably the biggest, I mean, I do believe that this is part of my blood pressure issue today, but the earliest situation that I realized I was dealing with that was like this, but nobody ever told me it was autonomic stress or anxiety, was when I was in high school. I played volleyball. I loved volleyball. So not only did I play for my high school team, but I played for a club team in Dayton, which was like 45 minutes away. I loved all my teammates. I loved their parents. It's one of those things where it's like a weekend warrior kind of deal. I mean, you practice throughout the week, and you go to tournaments and stuff like that. Sometimes we'd go far enough away that, we'd have to spend a night in a hotel before a tournament. And what started happening was if we went somewhere, and my parents didn't really, my brother was still at home, so they were running him to his sports stuff or whatever. So they didn't usually come. If it was anywhere far enough that we had to get a hotel, they stayed home. But I was, like I said, I felt completely safe and comfortable with the people I was around, consciously. I liked my coaches, like nothing bad about it. But whenever we went somewhere and stayed in a hotel, it got into this like pattern of the next morning, I felt nauseous and I was not able to play until I got sick. Once I puked, I was good to go the rest of the day. And I thought that's the weirdest thing. At first I thought it was like a food poisoning thing or something like that, but it kept happening like wherever we went. And it's like, well, it's not, I'm not eating the same thing for breakfast. I don't know what the deal is, but that like became my morning routine when we were staying in a hotel and then playing, volleyball that day. And I thought it was the weirdest thing ever. And there might've been some people that were like, well, are you nervous? Or, and I'm like, I don't feel nervous. I'm happy to be. This is the best place I'd want to be, is playing in a volleyball tournament. And it just made no sense to me. The thing that made me connect it was when I went into the hospital for really high blood pressure one night. And I'm like, what is this all about? I feel fine, but my BP is high. They couldn't figure out how to get it down. They're using these medications and running tests. Everything's looking normal. And I'm like, well, I don't understand how my BP can be this high, yada, yada. It finally said, well, we're just going to move you from the ER up to a room so that we can observe you overnight. We can't let you go home with this still being this high. And once everybody left the room and I was there by myself to just go to bed, I had to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom. And then as I was in the bathroom, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get sick. So I got sick, went back to bed. Next time they measured my BP, it was down to like 150 or something like that.
Whoa. So it's almost like your autonomic system kicks in and then it thinks, well, if I just throw up.
Well, to me, it seemed
better.
like it was an internal tremor. You know what I mean? Up here, I felt fine.
Sure.
But down here, things were like,
yeah,
nerves and shaky, even though I didn't feel it. I didn't feel nervous. But after a while, it was just like, whoa, okay, it's about to explode. Craziest thing. So those are the two different types of ways that it's affected me in my life. And
that's really interesting.
Quite sure. And the only thing I can think of is that deep down, I guess my amygdala was going, oh, you're away from home. That's scary. Like, I don't know. I consciously didn't feel that way, but my amygdala must have thought, holy shit, you're not at home or you're not with your family. This is danger. And it didn't, it happened in high school. It didn't happen in college. So I somehow got myself out of it at that point, but Happened several times in high school.
But up until that point, it was kind of like an embedded story that was underlying, right?
Yeah, I
Something
mean,
going on with your
I didn't
nervous
know
system.
why it showed up. I didn't know why it left at the time,
Mhm.
but now looking back on it, I can kind of connect some dots and go, huh, wonder if that would have been the case if my parent, if I was staying in a room with my parents, because I think there were times, maybe once or twice where they did actually go and my brother came too, and I don't think it happened then.
Hmm.
But I don't know. It's just such a weird thing, and that's part of the thing that I found when I was looking through things this week is part of the reason it's so difficult to know when you have this autonomic anxiety is because it doesn't show up as typical anxiety symptoms.
Yeah.
It shows up more like health or medical symptoms, but then you go
Mhm.
get checked or tested and they're like, nope, everything's fine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like,
We
well,
don't know what's wrong with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is
Your
somewhat
labs look great.
comforting
Right.
because you're like, okay,
Somewhat.
well, at least I'm not dying, but
But
where the
then
hell
you
is
keep
it coming
walking
from?
around going, we really need House right now. We need
Yeah,
Dr. House
exactly. Right.
because nothing is making any sense. Speaking
Yep.
of this, I was wondering, because it seems to me that in my life, my autonomic system would turn on more quickly at different times. And so I thought, well, could your system be so could a system be so hypervigilant, because there are anxiety disorders that cause different parts of your system to be hyper alert, right? So
Hmm.
could a system be so hyper alert that a new trigger gets instantly created for your autonomic system? And the answer that I found is that yes, even just one single traumatic event. So for
Hmm.
example, and this is crazy. For example, let's say that you have a medication and it's supposed to do something for you. Let's just stick with BP since we're talking about blood pressure. You could have a pill that is given to you to help you with blood pressure, and you have an adverse reaction to it. Your autonomic system could be such a hyper alert status, whether it's your vagus nerve or it's your sympathetic system, that the next time you take a pill, and it could be a different one, that single traumatic event, when you take the pill, even though your mind is, this is going to help me, your autonomic system can kick in. That blew my mind because I specifically went in and looked for that. That's
Hmm.
crazy that you could have something that is not going to have the same reaction to your system, but because your autonomic system is triggered by that event, that it's now a constant trigger, that
Hmm.
pill can actually, your body will turn it into those same symptoms that you just had with the previous pill because it's just so freaked out. Which kind of goes along with your throwing up. These were different
Hmm.
situations, but it still caused you to have this kind of reaction. And it
Yep.
turns out they can do the same thing. And so how do you stop that? How do you stop that? And I think that gets into some of the things that we've been talking about, but also some of the things that you do as well.
Yeah. And honestly, as we started talking about this earlier, about even just doing this topic to begin with, it made me think, I should probably approach the custom recordings that I do for people a little differently now, or at least add this consideration
Yeah.
to what I'm putting in those recordings, because most of what I've been doing is based on, well, what are the triggers that that cause you to feel this way?
Hmm.
That's all the cognitive shit. That's not touching the autonomic shit. They're not going to know what the triggers are in that case. So really what I should probably do is always add, if it's somebody dealing with some kind of anxiety or a habit that helps them deal with the anxiety, put something in there about just calming the amygdala. You're safe.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I think it's much harder for people to figure out, especially at that point in their journey, what it is that's triggering them from the autonomic perspective, because it's just not obvious. You don't feel any kind of like sudden urge, or all you notice is, why does my heart keep racing when this happens, or whatever.
Right.
That was even happening for me last night. It's happened a couple of times throughout this illness that I've had, sometimes because I've just been dehydrated. But last night, I think it was because I ate a whole bowl of soup, which was big for me after the last couple of weeks. And then when I went to sit down, and I had some crackers with it too, I went to sit down and I was like hunched. I was on my recliner, so my feet were up, but I wasn't laying back all the way. And my stomach, which is not used to having much in it anymore, was like compressed a little bit. And the vagus nerve is kind of wrapped throughout our digestive system too, by the way. It's part of that whole area.
Oh, okay.
And so I think it was either maybe pressing on it, or just the fact that I've been through some not pleasant situations with my stomach lately.
Yeah.
And it feeling full was probably like, oh shit, she did it again. Our stuff's going, oh shit, here we go. I didn't feel nauseous. I didn't feel anything bad. But I'm like, God damn, I can't get my heart to slow down. So, but what did eventually help it was I laid down, like I laid flat on my side, so that it had more room and it didn't feel so cramped or so full and cramped. And then it dropped down pretty quick. But God, there's just so many things and I can't even for sure say, specifically what that was either, but that's part of what I'm thinking as I think back on it. And, another thing that I believe, I didn't specifically, excuse me, find this anywhere, but another thing I think would probably be very helpful with this is sound healing. Because
I'll bet
if different frequencies of sound could help offset the, I guess, activity of the amygdala. And that could probably be like extremely helpful, especially when you can't figure out like what's going on. Why is this happening? I don't know I'm not sure what it's afraid of, but man.
Yeah. So I just plug this in real quick, and it says that yes, sound healing has actually been proven, and it affects both the autonomic nervous system and the cognitive emotional system, depending on how it's applied. Yeah. Because it uses vibration and frequency. Yeah, and we had kind of talked about potentially using solfeggio frequencies to pinpoint in your recordings to do that.
Yeah, there's definitely different frequencies that are going to be more, I guess, attuned to different parts of the body. And I don't know, I haven't looked deeply enough into it to understand if there's one that would specifically be for the amygdala. And it may even have to be a range, because it might be different for different people.
Yeah, absolutely. And people have effects in different places. But yeah, it turns out I just read a little bit more, and it says that it starts with sound healing first, directs at the autonomic system, but then moves into the cognitive. So that's fascinating.
Yeah. And there are people who are very scientific about sound healing. Meaning they really they adjust things to specific frequencies. They have all the equipment and stuff to do that. There are others who it's more of like a spiritual thing. So they'll use certain frequencies because they're like God frequencies or
Right.
just generally good healing type of frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine that actually went to the same hypnotherapy school that I did, Beth Snyder, over in Tampa, she has a shop called the Om Shop that, excuse me, not only do they sell a lot of like crystal bowls and all kinds of sound stuff. Like it's so cool. Every time she posts something about, oh, we got in this new stuff, I'm like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. They also do, I think maybe once or twice a month, like a class in sound healing. And I've been so tempted to go to that class. I think it's like a 2 or 3 day course.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how specific they get about like solfeggio or whatever, but man, I love sound healing baths so much. I've never gone for a specific reason. It's just been sort of like, oh my God, it's so nice to just sit there and have the sound, like wave over me. But I might reach out to her and try to find out more about that now that I'm thinking, we've learned more about this autonomic nervous system stuff and
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, because if that would help, I have a couple of crystal bowls already. And if there's one in particular that would be good for that kind of thing, I can have that in my office when I'm working with clients too, or doing their recordings, and just have that sucker going the whole time.
Yeah.
That'd
I
be
love
cool.
this. And I love that I love, first of all, your willingness to change something because you've learned something about,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that we learned this. I think it's just fantastic because both of us are going to have a much better understanding of how we can help our clients.
Yes.
It helped me to understand a lot more about how I fixed mine and have a much deeper understanding. So I really enjoyed this topic, and
Yeah.
I'm glad we worked on this together.
Yeah. And I do think that this is one of the reasons that the interactive hypnotherapy protocols that I do with clients
Mm-hmm.
can be so effective so quickly compared to other types of therapy, because in the like I'm talking about changing stuff in the suggestion therapy stuff, but in those interactive ones, that's probably why those aha moments come up, is because we do tap into, oh, wow, I didn't even know that was worrying me. Or, oh, I didn't even realize that was bothering me. So
Mm-hmm.
those kinds of things do come up, and we can process them within an interactive protocol, whether it's getting rid of subconscious self-sabotage or a regression type of thing, or, something along those lines. But the intuition knows. It's just hard to tap into it sometimes when we're not sure what question to ask. But
And our
that's another.
bodies hold so much. I didn't realize until going through all of this, not just what we learned now, but over the last couple of years, just understanding how much our body holds on to, the memories that our bodies hold on to. It's unbelievable. And until we get in touch with our bodies and start loving and appreciating our bodies, it makes it so much more difficult to feel those things.
Yeah.
To even realize what is really going on, because our brains want to take over. Our brains want to make sense of everything. Our brains want to take
Mhm.
over. And sometimes we just need to sit back and get grounded and get in touch with our bodies, and our bodies will tell us what
Yeah.
is actually going on. And instead of ramrodding it all the time because, well, this is the way it's supposed to work, listen to it and go, okay, right now my body's scared, and so I'm going to calm it. I'm going to let it know that it's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to just bulldoze through this because that's what I want done. That's what my brain wants done. But, listen to my body, because your body will tell you so much about what has to happen. And
Mm-hmm.
if we don't pay attention, our body shuts down. I've met so many women whose bodies just shut down and they end up in the hospital
Mm-hmm.
because they don't listen to their bodies.
Yeah. There's even, I think I've been listening to it by audiobook for a while, like when I took bike rides, but There was a period of time a couple years ago when I had several different clients mention to me. That's when I know it's like, okay, universe, got the message. Thank you.
Right.
A book called The Body Keeps the Score.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that one.
And I don't remember who wrote it, and I believe it's kind of more on the research / scientific side of things in a good bit of it. But I remember, I mean, to sit down and just read it, I would probably fall asleep just because I can't sit and just read stuff for very long. Yeah. But I remember wanting to ride my bike longer because I wanted to continue to listen to what the guy was saying. Because I thought, oh, wait, that makes sense for this person I know and this person I know. And oh, that makes sense for me. And just so many things that were like clicking together. And he's talking about not just sort of, oh yeah, these ideals, but no, there's research that we've done that have shown this with like military PTSD vets.
Yeah.
These other people that had like childhood trauma, and I'm like, oh my God, this is great. It's just so interesting to hear the types of things that they've found in research and then see the ways that they've started to figure out how to help people. Now he only mentions hypnotherapy a little bit in there. And I don't know when this thing was written, but he obviously is not a hypnotherapist. And so he doesn't really say a whole lot about, oh no, hypnotherapy could help with most of the stuff. But it's really interesting to hear all the types of things that have developed for people physically because of things that have happened to them traumatically.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a fascinating topic, and I'm sure that we're going to, as we learn more, we'll integrate more and more into our own practices, and that's fantastic. I'm so grateful that I heard from that doctor that said something about the autonomic system. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
So, we want to offer a challenge this week. If you have an issue with anxiety, we just want to throw an idea out there for you. If you have a moment when anxiety kicks in, one of the things to do is to try and capture it, right? Instead of spiraling, pause and stop yourself and go, okay, wait a minute. So is this a body alarm? Is this a body trigger? Or is it a thought spiral, right? So, because that's the two different ones.
Yep.
So you've got your cognitive nervous system and you've got your autonomic, right? So is it a trigger or are you thinking yourself into the trouble?
Right.
And then to try and choose a response that doesn't match an old pattern. So maybe if your old pattern is, this, okay, well, it's my body. Okay, well, now I'm going to start worrying about it. If that's what you do, stop that and do something different. It may be a somatic practice. It may be something where you just take some nice deep breaths. Just try and let yourself know that you're safe. Maybe if your mind is racing, ask yourself, okay, is the racing true? Is the story that I'm telling myself right now, are these true things? And stop. And I know I'm making it sound like it's really super easy. I know it's not easy. I've done these things myself. And
but there are easy things that people can try.
Yeah.
Like you're listing several good things to try. There's all kinds of ways to ground yourself. Like you could go outside barefoot and just stand in the grass. You can go like literally hug a tree or at least touch a tree. We have a grounding mat that we use here at home. And even if you do that and you go, I don't know if this is working, visualize it working. Imagine whatever the symptom that you're dealing with is kind of dissolving or melting and just sort of like going down into the earth or whatever you're doing. And that can help process it.
And you can also ground in your house. It's not as quick. It's not as quick as grounding outside, especially barefoot. But you can ground in your house just by sitting in a chair, putting your feet flat on the ground, and doing a lot of that visualization that Jenny was just talking about.
Yeah.
You know, connecting, seeing your body connected to the earth through the house, through down into the ground, and seeing that and just allowing your body to ground itself, even though you can't have a direct grounding through the earth.
Yeah. And like that would be much less concerning for me, is because last time I walked through our yard, I was like, holy crap, there's fire ants everywhere. I would not want to go out and stand in my yard barefoot right now for any amount of time, because they'd come get me. And that's not grounding at all.
No. And there's even tapes, if you don't have a hypnotherapy tape, although I highly recommend that from Jenny. Even if you don't have a hypnotherapy tape, there are grounding videos that you can get off of YouTube.
Yeah.
And just look for a grounding video and to listen to the sounds and help yourself to get grounded. Or use the solfeggio frequencies. Excuse me. Do some research and find the solfeggio frequency that helps you with whatever that situation is.
I even found on our Roku, I found, I guess, a streaming channel that is called Healing Sounds, I think.
Really?
Yeah. And it's free. I mean, I'm sure
awesome.
You can pay for it, but there's things like, they have them in different categories. They have solfeggio on there, I think. And they also have just like, if you like Tibetan bowls, if you like.
Yeah, I was just looking it up. It says there's sacred sounds, relaxation channel, relaxatify, and rain ambiance. Bunch of different ones. Oh, that's cool.
Oh, sacred sounds might be the one that we use. Yeah.
Zen garden escapes.
Yeah, there's several out there. And I mean, finding one that you like, even if you can't find like a sound healing practitioner that maybe, specifically trained to deal with a certain frequency that would help you, whatever you get drawn to when it comes to sounds, like I prefer the crystal bowls over the Tibetan bowls for some reason. I don't hate Tibetan bowls, but I just like the crystal bowls better. It just draws me in. I don't really like piano and those kind of relaxation things. Some people love it. I don't even like nature sounds all that much, to be honest with you, if I'm wanting to just relax. So like water or rain or, like birds chirping and frogs.
Yeah, and that is so individual. And I love that you brought that up, that, just because, maybe I love listening to the solfeggio frequencies with somebody speaking over top of it. Maybe that doesn't work for you at all. Right. Maybe that is just like, I can't do that. Don't find what works for you, man. There's so many options out there. So many options, and YouTube has so many of them available for you. Yeah,
I even had one.
And Roku, evidently, in Roku.
Yeah, I had a client tell me one time that the background music. Now, I've used the same background music the entire time I've been a hypnotherapist, and I love it as like meditative music. It's what I would use to meditate as well. But after years, I had one client that said, this music's so depressing. I was like, depressing? It's just relaxing. But for her, it felt depressing. Yeah. So I found something else for her.
Yeah. We do have a comment. I wanted to bring this up real quick. It says, I would make bets that women's anxieties have increased in a substantial number since 2016, i.e. number of women who go to their doctors for this issue, number of types of anxieties, etc. Yeah, I would bet that is true, especially women that pay any attention to politics and our rights as women in this country. I would imagine that is very true.
Yeah. Well, shoot, it may have even started going up. I'm a latecomer to The Handmaid's Tale, but when that series came out, that might have started making people worry on its own.
Kidding. Holy cow. Speaking of Handmaid's Tale, we are going to start talking about that very soon. Of course, the season has come out. And I'm the one that needs to catch up and start watching season 6, and we'll start talking about that. Notable news: nationwide protest, July 17th. That's coming up.
Yeah,
that's coming up really soon. So
next Thursday.
Check your local news. No, not news. They're not going to tell you. But check generalstrikeus.com. You can go to 5calls.org. I love the, what was that one that we both liked?
5050.1 is probably the one that would have the most info on that strike.
Probably.
General strike is the
General
don't
strike.
go to work thing.
Mm-hmm. And mobilize.us if you have something, if you really want to help out with what's going on locally. But yeah, there you go, 5050.1 to check out for the protest that's coming up, and mobilize.us for just about anything else you want to help out with your community locally. It's a wonderful site to go to, and you can join people who are trying to help out, and you can help out them as well. Let's see. Oh, we didn't say anything about what we're doing next week. We don't know. We don't know what we're going to talk about next week. We didn't get quite that far, but we'll have fun, and it'll be full of information and hopefully some nuggets that you can take away and get unleashed yourself. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe, follow, share. And if you have a topic, question, want to be a guest, go to our website at unleashedafpodcast.com. Go to WWJDD. What would Jenny and Deidre do? We'd love to hear from you. And Jenny, thank you so much. You've been a trooper. I know you're still not feeling top of your game, and I really appreciate you being here with me today.
No, this was good.
Right. And remember, you're not too much. You're not broken. The system is. Right. So you're unleashing, and just keep on going. And until next time, we love being here with you.
I'm done trying to live up to others' expectations. Family, society, class, race, sex, or religions. It's time to break free from the isms that make us feel like we're in prison. I'm ready to be